The story begins when we know that a big businessman from America, Park's son, is sick. The disease is such that doctors failed to find out about it. After all the roads were closed, shamans were called from Korea to treat this child. That is those people who can only talk to souls while living in this world. They can solve people's problems in this world related to them. It is their job to meet, fight, and control invisible things in the world. We meet Shemin Harim, who came to treat this child with her assistant. Although the child's mother did not want to do all this, but now she did not have any other option left to save her daughter. Harim goes to some rituals to check on this child, and she finds out that whatever issue is with this child is related to her grandfather or great-grandfather. To talk about this, Harim goes to meet Park, where he finds out that these people had shifted to America many decades ago. Park's dad, i.e. the grandpa of this small child, is paralyzed, while his great-grandpa, i.e. his great-grandfather, had died 100 years ago. His grave, i.e. grave, is in Korea. Park also tells Harim that every child born in his family faces a similar issue. Like my elder brother, he also died of a similar disease in Pakistan. And now my son, he is right in front of you. After hearing everything, Harim Park assures that everything will be fine. But she will need the help of more people. The problem is a little big. She may have to go to Korea. After the scene cuts, we meet a camp in Korea. He is a factory expert. His job was to find a place for the dead, where their souls could rest and be at peace after their death, where they don't have any problem. If souls have any problem, they trouble their families. Like an old lady was coming to her family's dream, she was getting tired. But according to Kim, her problem was not the grave. An old lady's friend's son hid her teeth, because of which she was angry. After that, we see that she has come to meet Harim from the same graveyard. Harim tells her about Park, who is a very rich businessman. But there is a very strange issue in her family. Every elder son born in her family is sick. And all these problems are related to the land of Korea because her grandfather is buried here in Korea. Harim needed Kim's help to solve his problem, and Kim agreed to help him. The next day, Park also came to meet Kim because he had to get his grandpa's eczema done. Eczema means to open a grave and bury a person who is buried there in another grave or shift. For this, he needed all the information from Kim, and he was doing all this under his son's care. Park now takes Kim to his grandpa's grave, which was built on a mountain. This was not a graveyard. There were many foxes around this grave, and this was not a good sign. There was no nameplate on his grave. Park says that his grandpa was a general, and this grave was allotted to him by the army. Kim was still not able to understand why this place was there. This place doesn't look like a tomb. He had understood that the problem was in this place. And he discusses this with Harim. He says to Harim that there is a lot of evil here, a lot of evil, and I can sense these negative powers. Also, Kim forbids Harim to work here because he thinks that if he works there, his life could be in danger. Hearing this, Harim also gets worried. Anyway, Harim, Kim, and Park meet again at night, where Kim shares with them that her daughter is getting married soon. After hearing this, Park gets emotional and tells them that he is my son and he is going to die. Harim and Kim got emotional because of this. So Harim decides that she will help Park. And she tells Kim that we will dig that grave. We can do a ritual there. A ritual that will make the evil go away, and then your work will be done. Kim liked this idea so much that he agreed to the exhumation. The next day, the exhumation starts. There was a Park art here. Because she was Jampa's daughter, without her sign and permission, the grave dig could not be done. Harim brought all the ritual stuff here, including 5 pigs. The 5 people who were going to dig the grave were sacrificed. On one side, the digging of the grave starts, and on the other hand, Harim starts doing powerful rituals to distract the evil. Many people were with him at that time. Harim was playing with knives and axes while dancing his drona with a loud voice. While doing this, she also puts a cut on her mouth. Then she cuts the bodies of the pigs and drinks their blood. This drowner ritual of hers continued until Grandpa's bones were removed. After removing the bones from the grave, a worker sees a human-shaped snake in the grave, which is a very wrong sign. And even worse, he had killed anyone he knew. As soon as he does this, the weather gets bad there. Kim, who had decided to cremate Grandpa's bones, also stopped this work, although he wanted to do this work quickly, because he believed that Grandpa's soul was connected to the bones. After burning the grave, he can get peace, because Kim had seen a lot of negative things here, so he collected information about Grandpa's grave in the nearby village. After going there, he found out that most people do not know anything about that grave. And if some people knew, then this thing that their grave is like a treasure. The man who found out that Grandpa's grave was dug up opens Grandpa's coffin. As a result, the crazy soul of Grandpa was freed. And this was the biggest and most dangerous thing. Thank God Hannum saw him. Now there is a hope that she will save everyone from this danger. To control the soul of Grandpa, she starts doing a ritual. But maybe it is being wasted, because the soul of Grandpa has gone to his house. House means America, where Park's family used to live. As soon as he goes there, he kills his son and his wife. After that, Grandpa's spirit started to haunt Park as well. Park was very scared. At that time, he got a call from Kim. Kim was explaining to him on the phone that Grandpa's soul had become free. He has killed your parents as well, and now he is going to kill you. You better stay away from him. He was talking on the phone just now. Suddenly, the door starts getting knocked. When you ask, you get to know who was there. Kim on the phone and Kim at the door. Kim on the phone tells Park that you don't open the door at all. He may be Grandpa's soul. You take care of him. I am coming to you soon. But yes, you can open the window. Kim doesn't open the door by listening to him, but he opens the window from where the soul comes in. It means that all this desire was in the soul of that Grandpa. Grandpa's soul was talking on the phone and Kim was on the other side of the door. The real Kim who was coming to save Park. When he goes to the room of Park with the key from the hotel staff, he sees that Park is completely possessed by the soul. Possessed Park tells Grandpa Kim why he is after his family. When the war started between America and Japan, Grandpa Kim betrayed his people and earned a lot of money. And because of that money, his whole family settled in America. But because of whom he became rich, his status changed. They never came and asked him. They never came to his grave or prayed for him. Because of this, he was so angry that he killed Park in front of Kim's eyes. While dying, Park tells Kim that a big animal like a lion has removed a fox's bone. Kim didn't understand this at all. But now Grandpa Kaiser had left to kill his daughter and Park's son after killing Park. Kim had only one way to stop him. He told Harim to burn Grandpa's bones. But to burn the bones, she needs permission from Grandpa's daughter. Kim immediately calls her and tells her that Grandpa's soul is going to kill that little boy, who has no fault. To save his life, we have to burn Grandpa's bones. Instead of exclamation, that is, instead of burying in some other grave, for which Grandpa's daughter agrees and burns Grandpa's bones. With such burns, Grandpa's soul ends and they get freedom. But the story didn't end with Grandpa's soul. There is a big twist in this story. After Grandpa's soul left, Kim met a man who had done a job of digging Grandpa's grave. Big, human-headed snakes were scaring him. The frightened man says that those snakes will kill him. Kim asks him, "When is all this happening?" The man tells him, "Since the time I found that human-headed snake in Grandpa's grave. I cut off its head and killed it." To know the truth, Kim goes to Grandpa's grave again, where he finds the dead snake. Its head was like a female's, which is considered to be a very evil and innocent excuse. Without thinking much, when Kim opens this grave more, he finds a standing coffin under this grave. As soon as he sees it, he calls Harim and all his companions here. All of them take out the coffin, but they still can't understand why this coffin was placed under the grave of Grandpa. This coffin was sealed from all sides, and it was midnight here. They couldn't do anything about this coffin, so they decided to keep this coffin in a nearby temple. Could be that there is some evil spirit in this coffin. Could not come out easily, so they do weird rituals with green leaves and rice, and they seal the coffin and leave. After knowing the whole mystery, Kim and Harim go to Grandpa's daughter and ask her why this big coffin was placed under Grandpa's grave. In reply, Grandpa says, how can they be traitors? They were not Korean, they were Japanese. The confusion increases further. Why did the Japanese bury them here? They get angry and look at Harim's sister, who is scared by something. He reads some mantras and goes to check the coffin. As soon as he goes out, he sees a 7-foot-tall man. And that man was eating a human. He is scared of all this and calls Harim. We know that Harim was taking some lessons from her grandma in her dream, because her grandma was a great shaman of her time. She hears her assistant's voice, but grandma holds her hand, as if she has seen a big danger. But still, Harim goes out, where his assistant was scared. They both together see the coffin, which was now open and empty. This means Harim's assistant saw a 7-foot-tall man or ghost. He had come out of this coffin. Here in the coffin, there was a helmet which is of a samurai or general. The general asks him if he has his favorite food. Harim apologizes and answers him with a no. And this time, the general realizes that there is someone in the room. Before he can attack Harim, his assistant comes and saves him. And he attacks the general with a laser. But this attack didn't affect him at all. It meant that the general had turned into a very dangerous ghost, because now he grabs the assistant and steps his hand on his stomach, and tears his body in half and hangs it. Before this ghost kills Harim, Kim and his sister come here. And this time, seeing this ghost, both of them were also in a bad condition, because they had never seen such a ghost before. 1 second passes and this ghost makes the sound of a chicken's bounce, meaning it was going to be morning. And thinking this, he flies away like a fireball. For now, these people know that this ghost is in full power at night, but in the morning, he can't use his powers. It is found that the assistant of Harim was still breathing because he was not dead yet. So he is admitted to the hospital. And Kim goes to the same grave where it all started, because it was very important to stop this story. Here we meet the people around us and find out something, but they don't know anything. Again, these people go to the hospital, where they find out that Harim's assistant has come to his senses. When he came to his senses, his eyes were weird. Seeing this, Harim and Kim found out that he was possessed. That big journal's ghost was making him his slave by the ghost of the big safe. And how he came to know that the ghost of the safe is protecting something here. What is that? Harim's assistant doesn't tell him. To find out all these things, Kim goes to the grave again. He wanted to open the grave and find the answer to his questions. What is that thing here that the demon was protecting? He sees the same 7-foot-long ghost of the safe. Seeing this, he finds out that this ghost is somewhere in the night. During the day, this ghost stays here, to protect something that they don't know about. Here, Kim remembers one thing about the dying park. She said that the fox had attacked the tiger's backbone. Korea's map looks like a tiger. No, it's a tiger. Now the scene was that many metal rods were pressed in the ground, which according to Japanese ritual, used to disturb the positive and negative energy of Korea and kill Korea. Korean females came to know about these rods and they started removing these rods. Koreans called these people grave thieves. But now, they couldn't remove a single rod from the ground because that rod was buried in the body of a Japanese in his journal. Through a ritual, a brave man's body is cut and a metal rod is placed in it. Along with that, many human organs are also used to complete this ritual. For all this process, the general's body was used because the general was very brave. Even after death, his soul was protecting this rod. Now that general, who had become a ghost, whose body had that metal rod, his coffin was erected vertically because all the other rods in Korea were also standing vertically. Now no one could find the rod or the body of the journal. The body of the grandpa of the park was buried on it, because he was also a journalist. In simple words, when the war was going on between Korea and Japan, people tried to defeat each other with the help of magic spells. As soon as they got the news of all this, it was too late. Now it was nighttime, and it was time for the journal, which had a metal rod, to get up. In all these years, he was able to get free from his coffin because of Kim. Kim wanted to stop him, but this ghost started possessing him. To save Kim, young Harry throws blood on him, but he gets a little bit of pain and gets better. In anger, he goes to fight against Harry. But this time, Harry is protected by his grandma's soul. Kim had seen metal rods in the body of General Kim, and according to his knowledge of feng shui, he was an enemy of metal. General's ghost was also a bloodthirsty man. So without any purpose, he puts his blood on a piece of wood and stabs General with it. With this, General dies. The last rod, which was placed in this land to destroy Korea, also comes out and ends. On the one hand, he has overcome his biggest problem, the ghost, and on the other hand, he has also saved Korea. As soon as the ghost dies, Harim's assistant, who was in his possession, also comes out of there. All their missions were now complete. These people were now safe. Thinking this, these four breathe peace. At the end of the story, we are shown Kim's daughter's wedding, where Kim was coming from relax and she met Harim and his assistant in a team. Showing these four, the story ends here.